Hello, hello, hello. It's Scott Cook with Freedom Unleashed, and we are going through a training session of the 7 gateway skills that one needs to master in order to become a professional in network marketing. Tonight, we're going to cover how to invite. And again, these are tips for the successful networker. So let's go over a brief review. Last covered finding prospects. This week, we're going to cover inviting prospects. Okay, in this session, we'll cover the subject of inviting prospects. I'll try to simplify this process so that all of you gain both confidence and you're comfortable in inviting prospects to simply take a look at either the products you offer, the service you offer, or your business opportunity itself. And once again, I'll be sharing a combination of knowledge and coaching that I've obtained personally and from multiple successful people in the industry. I want to take your knowledge and understanding of this subject to a higher level. So, once you've identified your prospects, the next gateway skill is learning how to properly and professionally invite them to find out more about your product, services, or opportunity. I'm going to begin this part of your training by explaining clearly what your job as a network marketing professional is, so you truly know and clearly understand the basics, because that's where we need to start. Inviting is the ability to ask someone to do something. You invite someone to go have coffee. You invite someone to go play golf or tennis, and you invite someone to look at some information. So, let's all understand. There is a 6-step inviting formula, and it sounds like it's more than inviting, but it all involves the inviting process. And this was taught to me by Tim Sales. Here are the steps that Tim went through with every prospect to build his downline to over 56,000 members. And each step is essential. Each step must be mastered. But fortunately, that's not hard to do if you have the right coach and the right tools. So the first one is greet. The purpose of your greeting is to get your prospect to speak freely and openly. You want them to open up to you. This needs to be done without them feeling forced or tricked. Next is qualify. This is a very important step that often gets skipped over by even seasoned network marketers. After the greeting, after you have them speaking openly with you, here's where you find out what your prospect needs, wants, and desires, or even what they don't want, as it pertains to your business. You get this right and you'll know exactly how to best present and position your opportunity. But if you skip it, you're just taking a shot in the dark, because if you don't qualify, you don't know if you can help them. You've got to be of the mindset of service. You want to help people achieve their dreams. The only way to do that is to know what their dreams are. Qualifying is the step where you find that out. Invite. Now it's time to ask your prospect to review information about your opportunity. And of course, we're going to go over this in detail tonight. And of course, the information they'll be reviewing is geared towards helping them achieve what they said they need, want, or desire. Number 4 is handle questions or objections. The purpose of handling questions and objections is to get the prospect beyond what is apparently stopping them from attaining what they've stated they need, want, or desire. When you know how to invite properly, this step is no longer a step to be feared. Next is close to action. At this step, the goal is to complete whatever's being said or done and start helping your prospect fulfill their needs, wants, and desires. Here's where you review the next steps and have the prospect agree to take those steps. Like watch a DVD, listen to a CD, attend a meeting, view an online presentation, etc. And finally, follow up or follow through. Here's where you reconnect your prospect to follow up with them after they took action and keep them moving towards getting what they said they need, want, or desire. When they're ready to join, you follow through and help them through that process. See, inviting is a very critical skill for your success. If you're not comfortable and confident in inviting, you'll never succeed in network marketing. We're going to learn to invite prospects in a professional way. This will instill a sense of pride within you, and your prospect will have a pleasant experience, even if he or she chooses not to join your business. See, most reps think that you have to start out with a great reputation and have a lot of influence with others in order for them to take a look at your products or opportunity, but that is simply not true. When I first started in network marketing, I had absolutely no reputation and no influence within the industry. And so, exactly as I was taught and shown, I placed ads in the newspaper, in magazines, on telephone poles, on doorknobs, and eventually in Facebook. But back in the day when I started, Facebook didn't even exist. I talked my products and opportunity up everywhere and verbally vomited all over any person in front of me. I shared way too much information. And I did this because I was focused on recruiting. No matter what, I pitched my opportunity to all of my family and friends, just like I was taught. I was like a hunter, with the goal of bagging my game. I went around armed with my gun, that's my opportunity, in my hand, at the ready, and I shot at anything that moved. I paid absolutely no attention to relationships and building rapport. All I cared about was signing up a new recruit. And my attitude was, some will, some won't. So what? Next. That was a mantra in my mind, taught and hammered into my head by my upline. But precisely because I was a hunter, everyone around me felt hunted. And they all started to avoid me. And it was not fun. And even worse, the people that I did get to join my team were all doing exactly the same things I was doing, because that's what I taught them to do. And guess what? Many of them failed at their attempts and quit. So after a few years of total frustration, I don't give up easily, by the way, I began to narrow things down and analyze my invitation process. It took a couple years, but I came to my defining moment under the tutelage of Eric Worre and Richard Bliss Brooke. And what I found blew me away. It went against everything I'd been coached to do. All of these successful people I was studying and being coached by were not hunters. They were more like farmers. They planted seeds. They built relationships. They built friendships. They learned how to build trust with people they met, and they were able to skillfully transfer the beliefs they had about the products and opportunity to their prospects. See, their goal was not to immediately recruit their prospects. Nope. Their initial objective was to learn about the pain points of their prospects and then educate the prospect about what they had to offer as a solution, and then let those prospects decide for themselves if it was something they wanted to do. They offered solutions. This was a gigantic switch in strategy for me, and I began to look at things totally differently. I started to put myself in the prospect's shoes. I thought about what would be attractive to me if I was approached? And alternatively, what would cause me to be repelled and put up my defense shield? That's when I realized why the pros had such great results. Because instead of acting like sharks, they were much more like teddy bears, acting as coaches and consultants. They built relationships. They listened and then offered common sense solutions to people's problems. I suddenly realized that, well, who wouldn't like that? The other really important thing I noticed is that the professionals did not pitch their product or opportunity. Instead, when the timing was appropriate, they simply invited people to just take a look. See, professionals understand that the personal interaction is a critical component in building trust and belief. So they try to connect people as much as possible, and they connect with people as much as possible. The second thing they did was to invite people to review some sort of tool. Okay, now keep in mind that tools take many forms. There are CDs, DVDs, magazines, books, brochures, all printed material, websites, online presentations. There's even allowing the people to sample the product and using that as a tool. So there's no question that technology continues to evolve, offering more convenient ways to help educate our prospects. However, while technology allows us to get people quality information quickly, there is still nothing like a physical tool. In a world full of bits and bytes and gigabits and gigabytes, in a network marketing world where it's important to build trust, a physical tool makes it real. And for building a large and duplicating organization, a tool is a fantastic first exposure step. Remember, our goal is education and understanding, using multiple exposures to the product or opportunity. So we need to focus on teaching people to know what we have and to understand how it can benefit their lives. Invite, present, and train are the three main skills that make up a professional network marketer. But there may be nothing more important in network marketing than inviting. Because if you can invite well, you can always put your prospect in front of good presenters and good presentation tools like websites, videos, DVDs, books, online presentations. But if you can't invite well, you will have a very tough, frustrating time in network marketing. So, this section of your training is critical to your success. I'd suggest you listen to it over and over again. Don't crush your chances of success. Use these pointers to help you develop your inviting skills. Know what you're inviting prospects to do. Prior to calling your prospects, you have to decide what you're going to invite them to do. Have a desire, a strong desire, to make your prospect's life better. The only reason someone will pay money for anything is that they believe it'll make their life better. And be interested in your prospect. To recruit like a pro, have a genuine interest in someone and a desire to truly help them. Your goal as a professional network marketer should be to learn how to invite well. Do this, and you will close more people and start recruiting like a pro so you can sponsor more people quickly. Now, often when people don't think they're good at communication, they'll use the phrase, "I don't like sales," or "I'm not a salesperson." Sales has nothing to do with it. In fact, when you picture a salesperson, what you're picturing is a poor communicator. When you've been sold, you knew it. You felt it. But when you're in the presence of a really good communicator, you may have bought something, but you were never sold anything. A good communicator will never sell what his prospect won't buy. There's no way they could get there. A good communicator, whether a nurse or a networker, listens and helps people get what they want. That's all. A nurse has to learn the appropriate questions to ask so he or she can ascertain exactly what the patient's needs are. They must also learn the appropriate responses to the standard questions and concerns that the patient has. A networker must also learn the needed questions and the appropriate responses to common objections so they can help their prospect get what they want. Here's a key concept for you to embrace. The only reason someone will pay money for anything is that they believe it will make their life better. I'm going to repeat that. The only reason someone will pay money for anything is that they believe it will make their life better. Now, this is the irreducible point of business. Irreducible means you just can't get more basic. In business, you can't get more basic than making someone's life better. If you make someone's life better, they will exchange money for it. The degree that you make someone's life better with your product and service determines the longevity of your success. That is another irreducible basic of business. Now, don't confuse this with anything else. Business is not making money. Business is not marketing. Business is not sales. Business contains money, it contains marketing, it contains sales, but true business is making people's lives better. So, okay, so as a professional, you'll invite a prospect to attend an event or review a tool, and you'll develop a formula that works for you and gives you posture and confidence. And here is what you're not going to be doing. You're not going to be pitching people and trying to dazzle the world with your brilliance and wisdom, because this approach will feed your ego, but it's going to steal from your wallet. So, here's an absolute golden nugget for you, and I would write this down. Your ability to get a large group of people to do a few simple things over an extended period of time is what will make you wildly successful in network marketing. This is the nugget and formula that helped me break out of trudging in the ruts and mediocrity. It will help you do the same. Okay, so you joined your network marketing company because they offer products that can make someone's life better. Now, who is going to communicate how that product and service does that? As a network marketer, that communicator is you. Your job in business is twofold. One, being the communicator of how your products and service will make the consumer's life better. And two, being the communicator of how your business program will make a business person's life better. Now, let's dive into some substance of what we need to master. The word invite, in the context that I'm going to be using it, is the act of asking someone to do something. Go to a movie, meet for breakfast, watch a video. In network marketing, you're inviting people to look at either the business or the product, or both. Business. This is where you show and educate your prospects about the business model of network marketing. to have them really understand and believe in its ability to provide adequate income and time freedom, then to show your product or service. This style is sometimes called top-down or business-first presenting and inviting. Product. Show your prospects only the product. After your prospect falls in love with the product, they'll know the business is viable. This style is called bottom-up or product first. Now, the lack of understanding of these two methods causes much frustration, both to those of us who are in network marketing and to those who aren't. So, why are people confused? Well, perhaps the best way for me to explain why the confusion occurs is with an example of a stockbroker. Let me ask you a question. What do you think the stockbroker sells? Stocks? Well, no, not really. What the stockbroker actually sells is that you can make money with a stock. So the money you'll make is the product. You may have heard this referred to as marketing intangibles. And this can be very much like network marketing because often the presenter prefers to market the intangible to someone that doesn't understand this conversation. So, as an example, suppose we're talking to a person who comes from a retail sales background. Let's say she owns a t-shirt and candle shop. If she hears a presenter talking about all the money she can make in network marketing, she'll constantly be struggling to understand where the money's coming from. Many times, these people are walking around after the typical presentation saying, I don't get it. The reason she doesn't get it is because she's used to holding in her hands the tangible product that makes her the money. This also works in reverse. So if you approach a stockbroker and rub the latest, greatest hand lotion on his hands and say, you can make a lot of money doing this, he won't get it. He won't get it either. He'll see it as a little pretty party thing. Certainly not something that could create a lot of money. So what's my point? My point is how you invite, whether business first or product first, will have much to do with knowing your prospect. This is the reason networking with people you know can be so effective. This is also why you should master both business and product invitations. In your network marketing business, take the approach that you're starting your own company, and you need a board of directors. In network marketing, we call them leaders or ACEs. The most important thing for you to understand at this point is you don't necessarily have to know these people. In fact, you probably won't. You may personally find these leaders, or someone in your organization could lead you to them. What character traits do you want in your leaders? What character traits do your leaders want in you? Why is this important for inviting? Your greatest asset will become your eagle eye at picking leaders. And I've not found a better way to teach how to spot a leader than just plain experience. Communication means the exchange of thoughts, messages, or information through speech, signals, writing, or behavior. To simplify, you use communication to send something you've seen, heard, or thought of to another person so that they visualize it in their mind exactly the way you saw it, heard it, or thought of it. Communication has little to do with proper English or grammar. Communication is all about the person you're communicating to. So you always need to communicate at their level of understanding. Don't talk above them. Don't talk below them. When your communication is received at the other end by the person you sent it to, exactly as you sent it, you have full communication. When it's not received exactly, you have partial communication or no communication. So it's your responsibility to ensure that the person that you're communicating with understands what you want them to receive. Partial and no communication create confusion, create misunderstandings, and even arguments between people. You know, if you think about it, most arguments can be traced back to this partial or no communication. So communicate at the prospect's level. You need to use words that your prospect understands. If you use a group of esoteric terms, and the word esoteric means intended for or understood by only a particular group. So if you use esoteric terms that your prospect doesn't know or understand, you're going to have partial or no communication at all. An example of this might be in how you describe how a person makes money with your program. If you use acronyms, industry terms, or words or symbols that are not common and everyday words, well, let's just say that you comment to your prospect or new distributor, once you qualify as a Topaz Triple Z hitter, you'll be eligible for the 20% commission level. And then when you qualify as a quadruple Ruby Supreme Salad, you get into the club bonus pool. Now, that is ridiculous to hear, isn't it? It completely alienates your prospect or new distributor. It's like you're speaking Russian to them. So always communicate with words that are in the prospect's vocabulary. You know, if you really think about it, a dictionary simply defines an unknown word with words already in a person's vocabulary. That's the reason there's so many different levels of dictionaries. Children's, collegiate, medical, and on and on. Most of the time, you will never use much more than 10% of the vocabulary of a language, because that's what most people know. For you to be a good communicator, you must only use words that the person that you're communicating with knows. Now, here are 4 communication traits of success that great communicators possess. Unique, special, valuable, listened to. When it comes to inviting someone to look at your network marketing business, it's all about your intention prior to the call or meeting, and during and after. As long as you've developed a relationship with the person, you should be able to make someone's life better. If that's your aim, truly your aim, then everything you do will be towards that. And it will be obvious to the prospect. And if your aim is to make money, then everything you do will be towards that. And that will be painfully obvious to the prospect also. So everything must be created mentally, in your mind first, before you can make it happen. You need to have an attitude of service, not an attitude of competition or money. Make sure your intention is worked out ahead of time and focused on the correct thing. Your correct intention is to make someone's life better. Don't focus on the receive side of the equation. Focus on the service side of the equation. Remember, the universe is rigged, so you give, then receive. Many think that if you're working hard, you're giving. Nope. Not until you make someone's life better do you get paid for your hard work. So, if you develop the following traits, they will cause your prospect to feel those things we just spoke about from you. And it's really not hard to develop these traits. Just create the mindset that you truly have the intention to make the person's life better. All right, so let's go over these positive traits. Number one is be interested in the prospect. The first and foremost quality that's obvious to you when you've been in contact with a good communicator is that they were genuinely interested in you. It wasn't that they were slick or that they shellacked you with fake attention. They really were interested in you. You saw it in them. Their eyes told you so. They really listened to what you said, and they let you know they heard it. And they listened to hear you, not to form an answer to your questions as you spoke. Maybe they even asked questions to clarify what you said. Now, here are some examples of being interested in your prospect versus trying to be interesting to your prospect. You're talking to someone and they say, I did XYZ. If you're interested in this person, you will say, oh, how long have you done XYZ? Oh, wow. What made you want to start XYZ? So where do you want to take XYZ? Well, I know someone who might be able to help you take XYZ there. Now, in contrast, here's what someone does and says if they're trying to be interesting versus interested. A person says, I did XYZ. Now, a person trying to be interesting says, oh yeah, I remember doing XYZ. Yeah, I had lots of fun doing XYZ. It's been several years since I did XYZ, but in my heyday, I used to do XYZ quite a bit. In fact, I was doing XYZ when I met my wife. See the difference between being interested versus one trying to be interesting? A person trying to be interesting will take any and every subject and try to put the spotlight on him or herself. So think about how each of those scenarios played out in your mind and how they made you feel. So the first and most important quality of you being a great communicator is that you're interested in your prospect. If you really get this one quality down pat, the remaining qualities I'm going to discuss with you will simply seem like they're just an extension of this one. Next, don't be distracted by anything. This second quality that you've probably noticed about a great communicator you've been around is that they weren't distracted by anything. There could have been a fire in the room, and this great communicator was not distracted by it. And unless you mentioned it to this great communicator, they didn't even seem to notice. Here's a tip. Nothing is more annoying to someone as when someone they're talking to is distracted by something going on in the environment. Whether it's a television that's distracting them, a cell phone, a person walking by, or anything else. Anything less than 100% interest in your prospect is unacceptable. Okay, next, have a sincere, friendly facial expression. This third quality means to maintain comfortable eye contact with a sincere, friendly facial expression. This does not mean that you bore holes through your prospect like a laser. Sometimes people read or hear about the importance of eye contact, and they take this to an extreme that makes the prospect feel intimidated. Just be comfortable with the prospect and maintain comfortable eye contact with them. Number 4, use the correct amount of assertiveness. And this is an important one. This fourth quality is that your communication uses that correct quantity of assertiveness. Assert means to put forth boldly or forcefully in an effort to make an opinion known. I'm not just talking about volume here. here, which is loudness of speech. You can assert your opinion about your business or product too much, which then causes the prospect to back away from your ideas. You can assert questions too repetitively and cause your prospect to feel interrogated. But you can also assert not enough and cause the prospect to feel it's not important. Same with volume. If your prospect can't hear you, your communication is worthless. If you talk really loudly so that everyone else in the room or restaurant can also hear you, it's too much assertiveness. If you've ever observed someone who asserts themselves too forcefully, you'll note their prospect physically backs up. Well, that's obviously way too much assertiveness. Why? Because if your intent is to have them adopt your ideas, you do only that which causes them to see your ideas favorably. If they back away from it, that's going against your intention. So it's too much assertiveness. And asserting too much is the major reason why friends and family hide from network marketers. Now, if you were to envision a ladder, the top rung would be that your prospect is interested. The next rung down would be the neutral position. The prospect is on the fence. They're neither for or against it. The next rung down from that would be opposition. The prospect is opposed to the whole business or something in it. And the next rung down would be leaning back. The prospect is trying to get away from you or what you're saying. The bottom of the ladder is hiding. The prospect is so opposed or so annoyed with your assertiveness that they hide from you. So always have your third eye watching your prospect's reaction to what you're saying. Sometimes a person can be neutral on a subject, but the amount of force is so great that they get pushed down the ladder to opposition or leaning back and not wanting to hear anything more about it. Again, force does not have to mean volume. People often think of loudness or in-your-face type of things. But a soft question that's objectionable to the prospect is just as forceful to that prospect as someone screaming. That's why you have to have your third eye watching the effect you're having on the person. Here's an example for you. Let's say that I believe in taking care of the environment. And I mean everything from maintaining the proper tire pressure in my auto because it saves fuel, to recycling every piece of paper and plastic that enters my house, to taking very short showers like they do in the military out in the field, turning the water off and then on again between lathering and rinsing in order to conserve water. So you get the picture of my taking care of the environment. So let's say that my mother comes to visit me. And during her visit, she throws plastic into the garbage instead of into my recycling bin. The incorrect quantity of assertiveness might be, "Mom, what the hell are you doing? That goes into the recycle bin. Don't you recycle plastic? Oh my goodness, whose responsibility do you think it is to take care of the planet? How much landfill space do you think our Earth has?" See, that would be too assertive. That's pushing my opinions onto my mom instead of sharing it or educating her just enough so that she takes an interest in it as well. This example I just gave you would make my mom not want to hear a thing about taking care of the environment, even if I asked in a quiet voice, "Mom, don't you take care of the environment?" That would still make my mom feel bad. But if I said, "Hey, Mom, I was reading an interesting article about landfills and how our Earth is really getting damaged by all the plastic in them. So I decided to start recycling." So could you please put that milk jug in the recycling bin over there? Now, see how different that is? That amount of assertiveness allows someone to become aware of something. Network marketers make fun of people who have a job. Networkers in nutrition look at people who smoke as if they're the devil. This is too much assertiveness, and it does not achieve the desired result. The correct amount of assertiveness educates or shares the concept or idea without making the prospect feel like they're getting a lecture or being preached to or that they did anything wrong. Let them come to that conclusion on their own. This is an area I had to personally work on a lot. Okay, next is communicate easily. No tension, strain, fakeness, sounding rehearsed, stuttering, or hesitating. This is the quality that most people think is the mark of a good communicator. And it is part of it, but it's only one of the qualities. Now, you may have heard that it's 10% of what you say and 90% of how you say it. Well, the how you say it part hasn't ever really been defined in the network marketing industry before. It's all the other qualities I've already mentioned here or will mention. When you communicate with your prospect, try not to have any tension or strain. What do I mean? Where might this tension or strain come from? Well, it might come from your fear that they're not going to accept what you say. It might come from not being prepared, so you're not sure what information you should present. That can cause tension or strain in the conversation. And also, don't sound fake or sound like you've rehearsed what you're saying. This is one of the reasons I'm not a huge believer in scripts, per se. Scripts are great guidelines. Once someone reads a script, makes it their own, and owns it, then it works. But memorizing a script makes you sound like a robot. And this is such a huge turnoff for people. Think about your typical telemarketer. They are running off a script and you know it. That's why you get annoyed. That and the fact that they're trying to sell you something unsolicited. But at any rate, people sound fake when they use a lot of fluff words too, like awesome, incredible, unbelievable, fabulous, wonderful, special, state of the art. You get the idea. These types of adjectives demonstrate a clear bias on your part. Now, I'm not suggesting that you be a boring communicator. By all means, be excited and passionate. But you don't have to use fluff and puff words to describe your excitement, as they normally indicate a cover-up of real content. If you're excited, you can say why you're excited. You're not excited because it's totally awesome. You're not excited because the products are special. You're excited because the products have given you and your family what you were looking for. They've solved a problem for you. So say that. Number 6, make sure your body does not distract the prospect. Here we go. A little bit of discomfort in this subject, but I'm going to go over it anyway because it's important. Be sure that your appearance and your body scent are not a distraction to the prospect. Now, I know this subject is a bit controversial, but it's a very big part of communication. There was a survey done recently at the end of a very large trade show. And people who were walking out of the trade show were asked a series of questions about the trade show. Now, think about all the money companies invest in trade shows. The rental of the booth costs a lot of money. The actual booth setup itself costs a lot of money. Furniture, lighting, power, banners, displays, etc. The travel to and from the trade show is expensive. The employees and sales reps are expensive. Now, with all that expense to the question, what's the number one reason that you did not buy today? Take a wild guess. Guess what the answer was? The sales rep's bad breath. The prospects did not say that the number one reason they didn't buy was because of a poor presentation, or that the event wasn't exciting, or anything else. The number one reason was bad breath. Now, this also goes for perfume and cologne. You may think your perfume makes you smell like a flower. To some, you smell like bug spray. You may even get compliments from some people. That does not mean that your specific prospect is going to love it. A person who wears perfume or cologne typically puts a dab on. Now, over time, their nose becomes less and less sensitive to it. So they put 2 dabs on, and then 3. And pretty soon, you can smell the person coming into a room. Not when they've walked past you, but when they enter the room. Now, if this scent is something that the prospect does not like, they'll be backing up, trying to get away from you. The main point here is whether it distracts the prospect. Now, this also goes for dress. Dress professionally. Ladies, if you have a beautiful body that you like to show off, great. But I don't recommend it with prospects. Your body may get more of their attention than your business. The whole reason that you're there is to be interested in them, not have them interested in your body. And I know what everybody thinks when I say that, but remember, people buy you, not the business or the product. But what about you do they buy? In network marketing, they buy your ability to help them get what they need, want, and desire as it results to our business and product lines. If you have a beautiful body and they join the business because they like looking at it, you're going to have a heck of a time keeping them focused on the business. When you've concluded your business for the day and you want to dress up in a sexy way and wear perfume, great. But keep business and personal separate. Your personal dress code should be appropriate for the situation and others present there. If you're working with the human nutrition line and visiting health clubs or gyms, it's really not appropriate to wear a suit, or even dress clothes for that matter. In this example, nice shorts and a polo shirt gets the best results. The golden rule is dress as nicely as the most nicely dressed guest at your situation. Another mistake many have made over the years is to embellish their opportunity to the prospect. Don't do this. Tell the truth. This should go without saying, but the tendency to exaggerate can be powerful if you aren't focused on listening to your prospects' wants and needs. Remember, focus on their wants and needs. That's your job. Your job is not to sell them on an incredible lifestyle with mansions on the water and a fleet of Jaguars to drive. This is a major problem in our industry that's been around for about 50 years because that's how our business model used to be presented to people, and it needs to be cleaned up. Full disclosure when asked is the best policy. If you don't know what your upline earns, don't say what you think it is. Nothing you don't know is absolutely true. And the other part of truth is keep your word once given. If you say you're going to be at a meeting at 6:45, be there. No excuses, just be there. If you say you're going to help someone, help them. Keep your word. If for some reason you're unable to keep your word, make it up to the person. Do something that makes it up to them. Number 8, know what you're talking about. You really need to have a clear understanding of what you're communicating. Prospects really appreciate and admire those who know their business and give exact, truthful answers. It doesn't mean you need to be a master about your product line to explain to someone why they can get the benefit and you can help them achieve their needs, wants, and desires. Next is communicate at the prospect's level. We've gone over this. You need to use words that your prospect understands. This can be tricky sometimes, but a good example of how a person makes money with our program, I went over it earlier. You don't want to use those esoteric terms. All right, so what does the word vocabulary mean? Well, one definition is all the words of a language. And that would be good if everyone knew all the words and all their definitions, but they don't. And another definition of the word vocabulary is the sum of words used by, understood by, or at the command of a particular person. Now, that's a much better definition for what we're discussing here. So, let me ask you a question. Where did you get your current vocabulary? The only place you could have gotten your vocabulary is from things you have heard or things that you have read. It does you no good to create your own words because no one understands them except you. For you to be a good communicator, only use words that the person you're communicating with knows. And don't think for even 1 second that people will say they don't know something. Even if you ask them if they understand, they won't tell you they don't understand. This is something our society has taught us that's wrong to do. It's crazy. It's one of the craziest things I've ever observed, but it's true. A person not knowing something will pretend to know something so they don't seem dumb. But they are dumb on that word or subject and will forever stay that way because they'd rather appear smart and be dumb than be smart by asking, what does that mean? So don't use words people don't know. If you need to use a new word, only use words that your prospect already knows, or define those words for them. Next is have the intention to make the person's life better. In inviting, sharing, and selling, your intention needs to be focused on the correct thing. Now, the definition of the word intention is an aim that guides action. You can flip that around and also say that all actions, meaning something that's happened in the past, were preceded by an intention. If your intention is correct, then your actions will be correct. When it comes to inviting someone to look at your network marketing business, your intention prior to the call and during and after, and as long as you know the person, should be to make someone's life better. If that's your aim, and if it's truly your aim, then everything you do will be towards that, and it will be obvious to the prospect. If your aim is to make money, then everything you do will be towards that. That will be painfully obvious to the prospect also. So everything must be created mentally in your mind first before you can make it happen. You need to have an attitude of service, not an attitude of competition or money. Make sure your intention is worked out ahead of time and focused on the correct thing. Your correct intention is to make someone's life better. Don't focus on the receive side of the equation. Focus on the service side of the equation. Keep in mind, the universe we live in is rigged so that you give, then you receive. Many think if they're working hard, you're giving. Nope. Not until you make someone's life better do you get paid for your hard work. In wrap-up, I've intentionally repeated several key points during this session. Now that's a clue to you. They're important to your success. See, when you master something, you've got it. You know it, you're certain about it. So to start out, simply choose one thing to master. Don't try to learn a lot of skills and master nothing. Learn one skill first. Focus on it with all your might. Make your choice to learn. Make it inviting. Make your choice inviting. Learn that first. Once mastered, move on to the next skill you'd like to master. Maybe it's presenting. Then focus on that with all of your might. Every subject has its fundamentals. In learning a language, it's pronunciation. In karate, it's the basic front punch and fan block. In hockey, it's skating. In business, it's making someone's life better. And in network marketing, it's communication. The way I became known as a very good dog trainer was to break the lines and methods of communicating to your pet down into very small, easy-to-master segments. People clearly understood for the first time how to properly communicate with their pets. And as a result, they saw almost immediate positive results in their training. That's how I became known as one of the top trainers in the Southeast. I simply showed the owners of the dogs how to become effective communicators and to master that. In reviewing my adult life, the entirety of my success in any endeavor was simply to master one thing, to focus on that one fundamental until I'd mastered it, and then move on to the next thing and master it, and on until I'd mastered the entirety of the subject. That's how I mastered the martial arts, playing pool, being a great manager and director of large numbers of people, being a great dog trainer, being a good husband. That's how I've succeeded in life. And that's how you can succeed in network marketing. Thanks for joining us. I really hope you got a lot of value out of this training session. Next session, we'll be covering the art of presenting to your prospects. In the meantime, go out and implement what you've learned here. Take action to your success.